Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you all the books that I read in August. I ended up not reading as much as I normally do in August, again because one, I am in a reading slump, but two, I was also away on holiday, so I didn't end up reading much. If you probably already know this already, but I only ended up reading one book while away on holiday, which you would have seen in my Wales vlog. Let's just get right into it. So the first book I read was Nero, and this is the one that I read while on holiday, and I rated it 4 stars. This was actually very quick, very enjoyable. I definitely would have read it in one sitting if it wasn't for obviously me being on holiday and, you know, having things to do. But this was so good. I actually really enjoyed it, and I love the fact that this is a mafia romance. The fact that our male main character was softened towards our female main character. I always love that when I know. My sister's behind the camera.
I'm getting in a gasp. My bad.
I love it when that happens in a book. This is also a dark romance, and see, you're really putting me off.
Sorry, you're just saying the best things I've ever heard.
I did find myself getting a little bit bored with the plot sometimes. Like, there was a time where, only a little time, where there wasn't really much happening, or there was like repeating things of what's already happened and stuff. That is why it was a 4 star, but other than that I really enjoyed the characters, and I did feel a chemistry between the characters, which sometimes is a little bit hard in a mafia romance. I did find that our female main character, it was like the author didn't know what emotion to make her. One minute she could be like excited about something, then terrified, then like happy about something, and then her emotions are all over the place, and half of the time I was confused. Be the only thing about the character stuff, but like I said, that didn't really bother me too much. Either way, I enjoyed this book. I'm going to continue on with the series. Excited to continue on with the series. Then I read A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner, and I'm not going to talk about this one too much because you would have seen all of my thoughts in a video. But I did decide to rate this one 3 stars. I enjoyed it, and I loved the like slow burn of it and all that stuff. But I am not one for in romances them being like backwards and forwards, or like I don't like it when it's always wrong place, wrong time type thing. Wow. Where everything is just getting in their way over years or over a long period of time. It does get frustrating near the end. I do like a slow burn, I just don't like interruptions within the romance, should we say, basically. And that is what was happening with this a lot, and I know that was the point of the book, and that is why I was nervous to go on into it. It wasn't terrible though, because I feel like it did help with the characters' chemistry and it made them stronger. Okay, with all these other books, I'm also not going to talk too much about them because they are going to be an upcoming video and I don't want to spoil it. Unfortunately, yes, it is another wrap up where I can't say too much about it because my uploads have been all over the place. But anyway, then I read The Fake Wife, and I rated this 3 stars. My god.
Oh, add that in there.
What?
Add it in there.
Why?
I'll pay you £1
Why?
Just add it.
I don't want to, it's so random. I wasn't a big fan of this one just because I did feel like it was all over the place. I did like the fact that you just kind of jump into the story and you have to kind of figure it out that way of what's going on, unless obviously you've read the synopsis. You jump on into the story, there's no wasting time, but then it starts to get boring and I feel like not much is happening. And also this is a lot spicier than what you would think a mystery is. There's so much spicy stuff in this and I wasn't expecting it, especially with a mystery. I just don't think I like my spice in mystery. Then we have The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and this is the second book in the series, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. It's also in the other video as well that I'm trying to avoid spoilers for. With this one, absolutely love. Obviously I love the series, I love the first book, and obviously within a second book of a fantasy series you always get more of the action, and I feel like that is why I enjoyed this one more, because more was happening. You also got a bigger development within the romance, which again obviously I enjoyed. Then we have Twin Crowns, and with this one I rated it 3 stars also. I had a lot of 3 stars in August. I enjoyed it because of witches, and I don't really read many witches books, so when I do it is interesting. I also like the fact that it was about twins. I feel like that was different, and that is why I enjoyed it so much more. There was so much action within this, especially near the end, but within the middle the only problem I had was it lacked a little bit for a little while before it got to like the big stuff. Then we have Never Vacation with Your Ex, and I decided to rate this 1 star. It wasn't for me. I mean, I had a feeling it wouldn't be for me anyway because it's YA, and I do not like YA books. They're just so boring to me. But also the chemistry between the characters lacked, the plot lacked. I was just bored. There was nothing good about this book. And then we have The Institute by Stephen King. I finally read this. This has been on my TBR for a year now, and I've been saying that I'm going to read it over and over again, and I just didn't until August, and I'm so glad that I read this. I don't know why I was putting it off so much. I think it's more because it was my first Stephen King book. It was something different from what I normally read, so I was a little bit nervous. I loved the storyline of this. Yes, it's very heartbreaking, like a very heartbreaking story. It can be hard to read. I think I enjoyed it so much because it is different from what I normally read, and because I was in a reading slump, I appreciated it so much more. I don't know, I just absolutely love this book. I would highly recommend it. I'm glad that this was my first Stephen King book, and I would highly recommend it. Then I read Great and Precious Things. This now was a 5-star read, which isn't surprising because I love most of Rebecca Yarros's books, i.e. Fourth Wing and also The Last Letter. So this is about Camden, and he is in the war with his younger brother, and his younger brother ends up dying in the war, and his family and his hometown ends up blaming him for the death because it was his call. So he ends up leaving, thinking that basically everyone hates him, but then years later his father ends up calling him, so he ends up having to go back home to obviously his hometown where everyone hates him, where his family doesn't like him, well, kind of blames him for his younger brother's death. And while he's home, he also gets back in contact with his younger brother's girlfriend, and I'm just gonna leave it there. But this was 5 stars, absolutely loved it. It was so heartbreaking, it made me feel all the feels. Think of all the feels, that's what it made me feel. And then finally we have Mary. Now this one was a shocker, and you wouldn't believe it's only 7 pages. I saw this on TikTok, I saw someone talking about it on TikTok, and I read it straight away, and all my thoughts is, what did I read? Type thing. That is all I can think. Obviously I can't tell you what it's about. Go into it blind, you'll be shocked. But my actual review on Goodreads was, WTF did I just read? I'm rating this 3 stars as I don't really have opinions on it other than WTF. But that isn't in a good or bad way. It's also only 7 pages. It has a depressing ending and it could be predictable to some. I'd recommend you go and read it. Like I said, it's only 7 pages. Some people say it's like one of the craziest, wildest things I've ever read for 7 pages, but then some people say that it's like, it was a shocker, but what, you know, you are left as in what, you know, thinking, what have I just read? Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. But thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and leave this emoji if you're watching to the end, and I hope to see you on my next one. Bye.